Sure, me.
Yes, he did.
Well, if you don't know what fair is, you can't make it.
Donnybrook is made possible by the support of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9PBS.
Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Donnybrook. Next week, it's Donnie Bash, and we'll tell you before the hour is over how you can join us. But we have lots of topics to get to. Let's first meet the panelists. Sarah Fenske, executive editor of Euclid Media, with us sitting in for Wendy Weiss. Bill McClellan from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and STLtoday.com. Ray Hartmann from Ray Hartmann's St. Louis Insider on Substack, and from the St. Louis American, Alvin Reid. And we also want to thank local artist Jillian Lauren, who supplied the artwork that's adorning the panel right behind us. There you go. Nice stuff, Jillian. Thank you very much. And you can learn more by going to JillianLaurenArt.com. Well, if you watched last week's program, we hope you did. No excuses for those of you who missed. Wesley Bell, the prosecutor for St. Louis County, joined Bill McClellan and Wendy Weiss on Next Up. And Bill asked him about his political future. Here's what he said.
What do you see as your political future?
My political future, I can tell you this. If you understood the day-to-day, and you got a chance to come to our office, Mr. McClellan, we have 140 employees.
Please call me Bill, as old as I am. if I'm going to call you
He
Wesley.
makes me call him Mr. McClellan.
Really?
Yeah.
It's respect. It's respect. You know, we have 140 employees, close to 70 attorneys. You know, this job is tough enough as is. And so I don't want to get in the habit of pontificating and speculating on what other office holders are doing and the reasons they're doing it, particularly when I have no control over it. Like I said before, what we're focused on is public safety in St. Louis County. I think that we can do two things at once. We can walk and chew gum. We can aggressively prosecute serious and violent offenders, and we can look at treatment for those who need and deserve those kind of programs that are struggling with substance abuse disorder and mental health care. So what's going on in Washington, they got a tough enough job, and I'm going to stay in my lane in St. Louis County, which is a large lane, by the way.
That was 1 week ago. Bill McClellan, since then, in fact, I think it was yesterday, Wesley Bell threw his hat in the ring to run for U.S. Senate. He's going to challenge Lucas Kunce in next year's Democratic primary. Do you think maybe you put that little bug in his ear, or what?
Oh, no, I was talking about county executive. You know, Buzz Westfall went from prosecutor to county executive, and I mentioned the 1st Congressional District, Cori Bush. These things, I think, were possible. And the U.S. Senate, I mean, Wesley Bell has, in my opinion, if there's a number smaller than 0, I'd like to use it, percent of becoming the next United States Senator. He's unknown outstate, and he's got a little D behind his name, and Josh Hawley will just, you know, define him to everybody and call him a George Soros-funded liberal prosecutor who won't even use a death penalty for child murderers. I mean, it'll be awful. It's a good day for Josh Hawley, though, because while Lucas Kunce, I think, just has a small chance of beating Hawley, he has a chance. And now suddenly he's going to have to spend his money on a primary. And, you know, the only way a Democrat can win a statewide race is if they chip away at the margins in outstate Missouri. And Lucas Kunce has been trying to do that now for 3 or 4 years. And Wesley Bell, I don't know if Wesley Bell could find Dunklin County or Reynolds County. I just can't imagine what he's thinking about.
There's GPS now.
Well, I just can't imagine. I think that, you know, he has a chance of winning the primary, but no chance of winning the general election.
Okay, there are
there are unlocked pockets of large sectors of black people, especially in the Boot Heel of Missouri, who are either don't vote or purely still aren't registered. I think the right person could find these votes and cultivate these votes, and then these 40-point, 50-point losses out there could be narrowed, which might give you a chance to at least get closer to general election. I do think it's about the nomination. I also think that I'll leave the mayor and the comptroller out of it. But you know what? The last year in black St. Louis politics, for the most part, has been a shambles. And anybody who can't get excited about this young man trying to, maybe I'm going for the brass ring, and maybe I won't get it. But I'm going to try. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to see where I stand. And I think I think that's virtuous. I think there's value to that. And I'm not going to debate how many points he's going to lose by. I'm going to debate whether can you do a good job and can you represent well?
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you one question on this. Getting these pockets of African Americans in rural Missouri. How is he going to campaign? He's got a full-time job now. He's the prosecutor of St. Louis County. He can't be in Reynolds County on Tuesday and Crawford County on Wednesday.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
My cousin from California came to Indiana and Ohio to go door to door for a man named Barack Obama. I think you can find people to take the message that you don't have to be there, because now we're talking about a state. We're not talking about the United States. It would take an all-out effort. I'm not saying it's possible, but if you're going to do it, that's the path I would go.
I gotta say, I'm somewhat disappointed that he's throwing his hat in the ring, because I feel like we finally have a plan where we're going to have some decent prosecutors, and he's been doing a good job. And when he's talking about how big that lane is, it is a big lane, and I'd love to see him focus on that. That said, as much as I'm very skeptical about his chances, none of us gave him a chance to beat Bob McClellan.
True.
No one in the media saw that coming. And I think he's going to be able to raise a lot of money, because there's these big national progressive groups that want to support really promising young black candidates, which is him in a nutshell. I don't know that that's going to be enough to make any difference in rural Missouri, but I think it's going to be interesting.
And I wrote about the fact that, and I didn't like, I interviewed Wesley yesterday, and before I go, I really disagree with the founder here, my fellow founder, but we are both called founders. He is a kingmaker. I mean, just asking the question caused Wesley Bell to run for Senate. It's just amazing. Hats off. No, and I first of all, anyone that says less than zero and all this, I know everybody thinks this is a red state. As recently as 2012, which is not ancient history, Missouri, President Obama lost Missouri by 9 points, I think it was, to Mitt Romney, but 4 statewide candidates, 4, the governor, the secretary of state, the treasurer, and the attorney general, all won handily. They also, the only guy that lost statewide, the only Republican that won statewide is Peter Kinder, and lieutenant governor, and the only guy that ever lost him was our own Sam Page in 2008 running against Kinder. It's just, now admittedly, my bias comes from working for Kit Bond when the exact opposite was said. Nobody thought Kit could ever win. It was all Democratic, and it happened. This is a Trump state right now, and the problem with saying anything is certain is that Donald Trump's candidacy in 2024 is not at all certain. And even if he is the candidate, he could turn this into a McGovern landslide where no Republican state is safe. So I disagree with the premise. I think Wesley has a very good chance in a primary.
If you look at the counties in outstate Missouri, it isn't just the big items that no Democrats are winning anything. They can't be dog catcher. Republicans and plus people in outstate Missouri will get up early to vote against somebody from St. Louis. When Claire McCaskill announced that she was running, she did it at her grandfather's farm in western Kansas. Robin Carnahan didn't go from Clayton. She went to her family farm near Rowell. Jim Talent had a picture of the way Chesterfield was when in 1920, saying, this is where I'm from. I mean, the idea that somebody from St. Louis is going to break this Republican stronghold, it just is silly.
The fact that, no, that's not. Here's the deal. First of all, in the Democratic primary, St. Louis has disproportionate influence because of the city and county, and Wesley Bell has a very good chance to win that. Once they're on the ballot, if it is not a foregone conclusion because of the Trump factor, you can sit here and say all you want.
But there's other factors, though, Ray. If I might
I'm just
jump
saying
in.
you can't.
What about
we
his
don't know.
views on the death penalty and abortion? And as Bill pointed out, he's a George Soros-backed prosecutor.
I happen to.
You think that's going to fly in Missouri?
I think he's got a real problem with it. I think it's worse than that. A friend of mine said he's going to be confused with Kim Gardner, and I think outstate.
Well, that's right.
I said I think he's going to be conflated with her. I think it's beyond that. I think he's got all kinds of problems in a general, and I think that the fact that Missouri's racial tradition is not good is one of them. But I want to say this.
Well, no,
this is good for Lucas Coons.
We're out of time.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
We are going to invite you to join us for Donny Bash. It's a week from tonight, and we hope you do. Here are the details.
It really is something how long Donnybrook has been on 9 PBS, isn't it? I can't even remember a time when they weren't on, which is really great fun. Hi, I'm Mary Ann Carson, and in case you didn't realize it, next Thursday, June 15th, is going to be our one and only Donny Bash for the year. And there are some great ways that you can be part of that audience, but you gotta make sure that you do it right now. That is to call us at 1-800-568-9099 or go online at 9pbs.org. We'll talk about that again in a minute, but these tickets are $75 a piece, or for $75, you also have your choice of the 9 PBS mug. But this is the best deal of all, and that is when you become a sustaining member right now at 9 PBS for $12 monthly contributions. You not only get 2 tickets to Donny Bash for next Thursday, June 15th, but you'll also receive the 9 PBS mug. And you know what? And if this is like the last minute for you getting a gift for Dad, Dad will never know that you were getting it at the last minute, because he'll be there with his darling, and you will be like son or daughter of the year. It is such a wonderful time. The folks from Donnybrook are with us, and they're going to talk a little bit more about their favorite parts of Donny Bash, but you don't want to miss this opportunity, because this is it for your chance to be at Donny Bash on June 15th. Once again, join us at 9 PBS, that's NINEPBS.org, or call us at 800-568-9099. Speaking of the crew from Donnybrook, let's go over and join my good friend Yale Hollander and the crew from Donnybrook.
It is going to be the hottest ticket in town, not involving a soccer ball. Next Thursday night, Donny Bash 2023. We're here with most of the players that you'll be seeing next week to talk about Donny Bash 2023. It is truly a community event. People of all generations, people from all around the metro area, people of all political persuasions, all get together for one common cause, and that is to enjoy an evening of civil discourse on civic affairs.
That's right. And it also raises a lot of money for 9 PBS, which, of course, provides these great programs 7 days a week with no commercials.
Who made the rule about soccer balls?
Yeah, really.
I mean, that was part of our deal, balancing it on our nose when we were bored. No. All right, never mind.
No, and of course, the Father's Day.
Boy, we need a
is,
laugh track in this crowd.
The most important day of the year, Father's Day, is the 18th, and if you haven't procured a gift yet for dear old Dad, this might be a nice gift.
It's a perfect gift. I have brought my dad to Donny Bash before, and he was starstruck. I mean, it truly is one of those events where people feel very strongly about the show. The show has a very strong following, which is why it's been on the air for 36 years. And it's one of those nights where you're doing Dad a favor by bringing him to see his favorite TV show.
You know, it's fun too. It's one of those things like to do. Going to the Muni, when I go to the Muni, I think, I'm glad I did that. Going to a Cardinal baseball game, it's something everybody should do. And I think that Donnie Bash is the same thing. You get up, you go to it, and afterwards you think, this was fun. I mean, it's certainly a blast for us.
I agree.
Right, absolutely. And look, you could be on really live TV with an audience once a year in St. Louis, and it's at Donnie Bash, because nobody else does it. And it's a unique experience in that, hey, you're part of the show. You're an important part of the show, but you're also an important part of, you know, keeping us on the air. So, you know, hey, it's a meager price, but I think for a fantastic evening. We want to see you guys out on the evening of the 22nd because it's going to be a beautiful night.
How about the 15th?
The 15th. What is the 22nd?
It's the next week.
Yeah, all right.
I think it's a good Emmy category. Best
Oh,
live
that's my granddaughter. Oh, the film they were showed my granddaughter, who feels like she's part of Donnie.
She
Bash.
is part of it. She's your human shield at Donnie.
She walks me onto the stage.
We can't
and
argue.
she traditionally gets the last question.
We can't say anything to him because he got there. I mean, no, but so best live
There she is.
program.
Yeah, right, look.
She's so cute. Best live program of a weekly talk show. I like that category. It's great for the station, and most important is supporting the station and being part of the PBS network, which is more important to our country than ever before. And it really is.
For the first time in a long time, Ray, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, well, don't make a habit of it, please. But it won't do either of us any good. But, it's really important to support PBS. And the 9 Network is,
And
I
it's
think,
fun.
the best PBS station in the country. And a little biased, but I think there's a case to be made for real. And we've been so really blessed by the audience supporting us for, I can't say it.
36 years.
36 years.
No, I say it whenever somebody walks up
It's
to me and says,
depressing.
like, hey, you know what you ought to do with that show? And I said, like, well, whatever it is, we've been on 36 years.
Well, what we ought to do is throw it back to Mary Ann.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. And you know what else we love about Donnie Bash is that the folks from Donnybrook are always telling me, tell people that if they've never been before, they really don't know what they're missing. And if they have been to Donnie Bash before, don't be shy. Come on back. And there are 2 ways that you can be there in the audience for Donnie Bash. It's next Thursday, the 15th of June. Doors open at 5:30, and you can either buy a ticket for $75 or at $75, you got your choice of the 9 PBS mug. Or the best deal in the house right now is, of course, becoming a sustaining member of the 9 PBS network for $12 ongoing monthly contributions. Then you get 2 tickets to Donnie Bash plus the 9 PBS mug, and you'll also have access to Passport with either one of those memberships. And of course, what your dollars do here for 9 PBS is keep your favorite programs on the air. So if Donnybrook is a favorite of yours, or maybe other local productions like Living St. Louis, which I think is just a wonderful show, or Drawn In, which is a new kids program, either way, you're going to have your favorites coming back to you for another year or years to come. And it is so important for you to be a member of the 9 PBS and support your favorite programs. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Hey, I want to talk to you, Sarah, about a controversy I didn't expect. Kara Spencer, a member of the Board of Aldermen, found a kind of a small little aspect of a state law that said a city can outlaw or can regulate the open carrying of firearms. And as people know, if they followed the Citizens for a Greater Downtown St. Louis and Twitter, etc., a lot of people have been walking around downtown St. Louis with AR-15s and long guns. And so apparently a city can require a concealed carry permit, which has some hurdles to get. You have to be 19, you have to have a clean record, you have to go through a training course if you want to carry a firearm in the open. So she presents this, and the St. Louis Board of Aldermen, which presumably is for sensible gun laws, right? That Jeff City hasn't had any gun laws. It's time that we do something. She presents this to all her fellow Democrats, and she gets pushback from a couple of members of the Board of Aldermen, as well as the mayor's father, saying, no, we don't want to regulate this firearms this way.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. I think on the Board of Aldermen, they're all Democrats, and they love to blame Republicans in Jeff City. And a lot of times, there's a lot of things to blame them for. But this is something where it's like, hey, there's this loophole that allows you to do this thing. Why not go for it? Kara Spencer came up with this plan. And this pushback, I think in a lot of cases, is coming because there is great enmity between her and the mayor. They just cannot deal with each other at this point. And I think the mayor would like to see this thing torpedoed because she understands that Kara is likely running for mayor, could be a pretty formidable candidate, doesn't want to see her get this win. And so there's a couple of arguments that have been brought up against it. One is that Kansas City is not really doing much enforcement of its similar law that's on the books. And one reason is that they're concerned about the issues of racial profiling, and that people who would get caught up in this in St. Louis are most likely to be black. That's something that the Board of Aldermen is cognizant of, and people are now using to push back against pretty hard.
I think that's well said, but kind of sad, you know, because it really is first of all, this change is not going to, you know, affect the crime rate, but it's the right thing to do. It's the one option that's open to the city. She's absolutely right to do it, and of course I go further back with Vervis Jones as I do with her, but I have to say that while being attacked by a fly, that or whatever it is, that yeah, I guess I'm wrong. No, and I, you know, to me, there's the idea that it's a political win. I mean, come on, it shouldn't. I mean,
but it would be a political win for Spencer.
Well,
it would.
But it shouldn't be controversial. I don't think it's a big deal. You know, I mean, I think she's doing the right thing, but I don't think that should bother anybody. And blacks are going to be profiled no matter what. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, no, stand by that?
No, I'm saying it's not going to take this.
That's what I was just going to say.
It's not going to take this long to do it.
I was going to say, like, okay, all right, if there's 100 people carrying, you know, AK-47s up down the street, 50 are white and 50 are black, more black people with AK-47 are going to get stopped. That's a reality. But Ray, that's the thing is, you can't ignore stuff like that. Oh yeah, it's going to happen. Just like, oh yeah, more black voters get stopped for the 23rd straight year. Oh yeah, it's going to happen. Now we know it's going to happen, but you can't deny that people should look into this and be concerned with this. And yes, it would be great to get every gun off the street.
Okay, well, I think you ought to be able to tell the police chief, hey, anybody who's carrying an assault weapon downtown St. Louis, I want them stopped. Black or white, because this is a terrible situation, and the idea that we're going to look at ideas not for the substance of the idea, but who came up with it.
Yeah, but no, profiling would be if the person is just doing nothing and gets pulled over or frisked. But if someone's walking down the street with an AR-15, I would hope that every police officer or sheriff would say, hey, do you have a CCW permit?
I would hope that was true, too.
Right.
Unfortunately, it often doesn't work out.
I don't think you're right.
And then we say, funny how that worked out.
Sarah exposes the dark underside of liberalism when it comes to guns, because they talk a good game about gun control, but then when someone actually presents common sense gun control, people are opposed to it.
And let me be clear about what I said, Alvin.
To be opposed against something and have concerns about something is different than like flat out voting against it. Let's wait till a vote comes in.
I will say this. First of all, to clarify what I was saying, if this fails, if it goes nowhere, there will be as much racial profiling tomorrow in the city as there is now. I think, if anything...
What racial profiling is going on in the city now?
Well, and the county. But my point...
What are you talking about in the county?
Well, I'm saying it's a part of life, and it's
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
It is. I'm saying that this law is not going to create... I don't agree.
What are you talking about?
Okay, let me finish. Of all the things that's not going to add to racial profiling, I think this is one time that the officers will probably stop anybody with open carry. But my point is,
gotta move along.
This is not going to save... Okay.
Alvin, Reid, I want to ask you about a couple of things. One is the seniors in St. Louis County might be getting a tax freeze if certain measures are passed, but people who want fire and police and schools and better roads, whatever, are saying that's going to cost us $14 million a year if we pass certain measures that allow certain seniors to have a freeze on their property taxes. Now, Dennis Hancock and Mark Harder, members of the St. Louis County Council, are saying, we're talking to seniors who just basically can't afford the property taxes anymore.
Okay. Now, I did the math on this. Not the tax math. I did I'm 62. So, and so I can't be ruling out things like that. Okay. I do understand when you said, like, and parameters being such as $85,000 and all that. Boy, I really feel for those who have been in a home, and if somehow we can help them stay in that home, I think that's for the betterment of all and for neighborhoods. I wish there was a way, maybe it could be less, maybe we could find some way to reduce that 14 million projected level, but I have to stand with this one. And this is one of those that I'm trying not to look at myself as to benefit from that, like, you know, college loans. But,
you are 3 years away.
Yeah. But Alvin, I mean, we're talking about something that would apply to seniors that are making more than 85 grand for an individual or 100 grand for a couple. If you're making that much in your senior years and you can't afford to pay your property taxes, maybe you could downsize to a nice condo. It just feels like the young people of America are being stuck footing the bill for a lot of things right now. We've defunded higher education, and it's all because, you know, we're taking care of the people who tend to vote, which are older. It's a problem.
I agree with you, Sarah, and I'm against this tax freeze for senior citizens. It just seems inherently unfair that if my neighbor who's trying to raise, you know, his kids and support his family, their family, and they have to pay the property tax, and I get to say, well, I'm old enough that I don't have to pay it anymore. I don't understand the logic in that, and I'm with you. If you can't afford the property tax on your house anymore, maybe you should sell the house.
That's right, and I think that those of us that are younger really, you know, I must speak for the young people. No, okay. Oh, it's not that funny. Yes, it is that funny. It's actually that sad that it's that funny. I absolutely think Kelly Dunaway said it well, that it is just, it's just a ripoff for wealthy taxpayers, and it is done in the name, and let's not forget, Alvin, it's going to blow a significant hole in the county budget.
Now, speaking of money, and
it's not fair.
This week, Mike Fitzgerald in the RFT, Sarah, took a look at a program that then Treasurer Tashara Jones was very proud of. It was a college savings plan for kids. When they got to kindergarten, they'd get $50. Well, he took a look at it and found out that today, 2% of kindergartners are signed up for it. Only 12% of students in the St. Louis Public Schools. The average amount of money in the savings account for college is $73. Should the program be jettisoned?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of facts in Mike's story, and he did a great job just digging into this program. A lot of facts, I think, would suggest to some people that this is just not worth even the pretty minimal investment of parking funds that the city's putting into it, just a couple $1 million. I think that there are models in other cities that show how this kind of program can work, and I think, frankly, there's reforms that we could do, such as taking it so it's not just a city program, establishing an independent board of directors so you can get a 501c3, get charitable contributions from big corporations, people who want to see the children of St. Louis succeed, that then become tax deductible. The city likes to kind of do things on the cheap, and then we're surprised when it doesn't work, and I think that's what's happened here.
I am old enough to remember supporting this idea when Tashara Jones was treasurer, and I thought it was a great idea, and I still think it's a great idea. To your point, I mean, I'd like to think they could figure it out, but I mean, well, I think they have a binary choice. Either figure out a way to make it serious or not do it.
Right.
But I think it was such a, I'd hate to see them just give up. I have no idea how to do it, but I hate to see them give up.
Right now, they put the money in the account. It doesn't get interest. It doesn't get a yield on a bond. It doesn't appreciate because it's not in stocks. In fact, all of that goes to the treasurer's office. So you actually lose money. Because of inflation, it eats it away. You put in $50 now, it stays at $50. What they should do is allow, like Oklahoma does, have someone put $1,000 in at birth, and then let them put into the Missouri 529 account a variety of investment options, and over the next 18 years, maybe you'll have some money.
But that's better than just giving up on it. I agree with you.
Right.
That
But
makes sense.
they've been so defensive about criticisms of this program. I don't know that anyone's going to be open to something that feels like a pretty good solution you've got there.
Well, speaking of money, if you've got some, we'd love it. And we're going to tell you how you can share it with us so we can invite you to Donny Bash next week at the Sheldon.
Well, if you want to get in on this year's one and only Donny Bash, this is just about your last opportunity. You can call us at 1-800-568-9099, or you can join us online at 9pbs.org. That's NINEPBS.org. And let me tell you, there are 2 ways to be in the audience for Donny Bash next Thursday, June 15th. One is when you pay $75, that's a one-time contribution, you'll receive 1 ticket or the PBS 9 mug. Or the best deal going right now is to become a sustaining member at just $12 a month. And then you get not only 2 tickets to Donny Bash, but you also receive the 9 PBS mug. It's a great deal, and we don't want you to miss out on the opportunity to be at Donny Bash next Thursday, June 15th. What a great way to celebrate Dad's Day by giving him 2 tickets to see Donny Bash and to be there. And it's great because Donny Bash takes place at the Sheldon Theater here in the Central West End, or in Midtown, I should say. And the thing is that the set that you see there for Donnybrook is absolutely transformed to the Sheldon Theater. And Sheldon is great because parking is literally a dream. There are no worries about not finding a space close to the Sheldon. It's easy. The doors open at 5:30. They have a reception before the live taping, and then you are part of the studio audience for the show, Donnybrook. And then there's more reception with the guys from Donnybrook and you as audience members. They're wonderful. They love to meet and greet afterwards plenty of time. As a matter of fact, we know that Ray Hartmann sometimes closes down the reception. But anyway, we want to go over to the guys from Donnybrook right now and my good friend Yale Hollander. So let's go in studio right now.
If you've ever wondered what happens when the cameras are not on at the big table, I'm going to fill you in right now as the resident fly on the wall. These gentlemen have been sitting here for the last 10 minutes trying to figure out what they're going to wear next week.
We're not gentlemen.
Because Donny Bash is that kind of occasion. It's a big deal, and they want to look good when they're coming out to the adoration of 700 people at the Sheldon Auditorium, at the Sheldon Theater. So you want to be in that group. You want to be, pardon me, Lin-Manuel Miranda, in the room where it happens next Thursday night.
There's a consensus that Mr. Reid is the fashion plate. I would say fashion is a ship that has sailed in my case. But nobody cares what you look like. No, Alvin is, of course.
Well, the real discussion
Bill
for me
is-
was whether I'll change my tie
Yeah,
or
well,
not.
Bill has been known for a fact. I mean, for years, that's the one question I got about Bill. And I said, well, I'm not on the committee that dresses him. No, but but you've always had your distinct look, and I admire that.
Thank you, Reid.
And Alvin is
Yeah,
well, not to take anything away from you.
No, it's not my strength.
But it's
I
not.
will say, next week is Donny Bash. It's our big fundraiser for PBS. No matter what we wear, it's important and a fun night.
Absolutely. And the show is at the heart of the event, obviously. The show is the big production. But when you get a ticket to Donny Bash, you're actually getting the benefit of 3 different functions. You've got the show in the middle, but there's also a reception before the show, and there's a reception after the show. And it's not just an opportunity for fellow Donnybrookers to meet and network and mingle and talk about their favorite shows and their favorite panelists, but it's also an opportunity for you to meet the panelists themselves. It's public television. The public is there, and they are among their public. So this is definitely something that you want to come out and be a part of, not just watch. but actually participate.
It's an evening. It is. Yeah, I say that, you know, like, it's an evening. Yeah, right. There's something else. No, it's fun for everybody involved. And like you say, it's a nice, you know, it's a fantastic reception. Come back after the show. There's desserts. There's us. You know, like, and we're that special, but we get a kick out of talking to you guys. I really do. I mean, I really, really do. I appreciate being on this show, but one reason is because people appreciate us actually being on the air, and they make that happen by supporting things like Donny Bash. But it's cool to talk, just talk to people that you've never met before about the show.
And plenty of parking.
Yes.
Right? And it was $144. Is that one ticket or two?
That is 2 tickets. You get 2
tickets.
tickets and one of these lovely mugs.
Oh, yes. Cool. I got to turn mine around. Right.
Perfect for all sorts of beverages, hot or cold. We're in gazpacho season.
Hey.
You should
There
try
you have it.
comedy.
And if you don't know what that is, watch PBS on Saturdays, and you'll learn all about it.
You should try comedy. Let me ask you, are we done talking about the ties? I guess we are.
Yeah, well, we need people to pick up the phone and call.
I was thinking, I was trying to see if I could find the tie award, 87 for the first show. So I probably still have it. I don't know why I'm still talking about that. I will say that if you come...
Ties cost money. Money, right?
Not that one.
Just save a little for PBS.
Yeah, right.
You know, seriously, the part where before the show, where we meet the audience, is a highlight for us.
It is indeed. And now we're going to send it back to Marianne in the studio.
Thank you, gentlemen. And of course, we do not want you to miss Donny Bash. It is our one Donny Bash for the year. So when you contribute $75 to 9PBS, you get your choice, either one ticket or the 9PBS mug. But here's the best deal of all. When you become a sustaining member right now, for $12 as an ongoing monthly contribution, you not only get one ticket, you get 2 tickets. And you get the 9PBS mug. So that's a great deal for being able to see Donny Bash next Thursday. Great Father's Day present. He won't even know if you waited till the last minute to get him a gift. But that will be a wonderful way for you, and maybe you take your dad to Donny Bash next Thursday. It's at the Sheldon Hall, and it's a great place because the parking is a dream. The doors open at 5:30. There's a reception before even the live taping. So you and other members from 9PBS will have a chance to get to know each other. And the folks from Donnybrook show up. They not only are there for the taping, but then you have a reception afterwards where you get to talk to all of them. They're great minglers. They say if you've been before, don't be shy, come back for another Donny Bash. But you need to join right now because this is just about your last opportunity to be there next Thursday on June 15th. Even more so, you get to support your favorite programs here on 9PBS. But call us now.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Hey, Ray Hartmann, I believe it's going to be announced tomorrow that Emerson is moving its headquarters from Ferguson to Clayton. That means that Clayton's now going to have 4 Fortune 500 companies. Olin, Graybar, Centene are there, plus the world's largest rental car company, Enterprise, is based in Clayton. And yet, the city says it's having financial woes. It's spending $2 million more than it collects every year. It's cutting back the swimming schedule at the pool, and now residents there have to pay for trash pickup, which they haven't had to do before, $600 a year for every household. Does it really make a difference if a Fortune 500 company is in your city?
Well, it does to Clayton. I don't, from the region standpoint, where does this leave Ferguson? I mean, in other words, I always said this is kind of a, you know, it's a zero-sum game for the community, and so I don't welcome it particularly. Yeah, sure. I mean, any businesses coming there any business of size is going to increase activity for the businesses around it. I certainly hope they're not subsidizing it because they don't need that.
I don't think so, but isn't it true, though,
I don't think it's great.
The way our crazy system works, you have to have a big box retail store to generate that sales tax like Brentwood or now University City with Costco, that's where the money is for the city.
I mean, they could charge an earnings tax, you know? I mean, look at the booming metropolis of St. Louis City. It's,
take a lesson from the city. That's
I mean, we're not stuck with this structure. They could come up with a way of perhaps harvesting some more tax dollars. Then they would then lose those headquarters to cities.
But
that
again,
don't
I
charge
think
it.
we ought to be asking what happens to Ferguson as much as what's good about it. I'm not saying you should, but I don't know.
Maybe Senator Bell will take care of Ferguson.
Yeah, well, you know, because it was Emerson got a lot of credit for what it did in Ferguson, justifiably.
What did it do?
Oh, they set up they put $25 million.
Yeah, they put money into it. They can still put money into it.
No, I'm saying, but
because quite frankly, I think the employees
put money into it too.
Look,
I mean, my point is, how important was Emerson to Ferguson?
I suspect it very. I would guess. I mean, to the businesses there. And look, Emerson can do what it wants. I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying let's not celebrate it as a big gain.
Well, I don't think anybody was celebrating it. But Sarah, you're onto something in that you got to do something. Well, how about I didn't know y'all wasn't paying for your trash pickup. Now, however many millions are floating around there where, like, you just been, like, living it up in Clayton. They're like, oh, my God, we have to pay for our trash pickup?
Well, Brentwood doesn't pay for its trash pickup
but Brentwood would like to have Emerson. But I think you could
Brentwood's got something better. They got Target.
I think you can find ways to up the budget in Clayton, you know, without hating on this Fortune 500
I always assume that the big companies pay something when they move somewhere. Like,
well, they're paying rent,
the idea
or are they buying a building?
Clayton is going to have to not get any money, but provide services?
Well, there'll be property tax to some extent.
Oh, well, there you go.
Are they buying the building, I assume? Or is they
no, the building is Forsyth Point.
Well, so they're paying rent.
By the Coleman family, and Commerce Bank is there, Hush Blackwell. Alvin, Reid, let me ask you about bus routes. The Metro Transit just announced this past week it's going to cut back 30 bus routes, and it's been cutting back like some of the Dial-A-Ride and other services. Do you think it's time maybe that they pare back the expansion of Metrolink? We've been talking about a north-south route. Maybe we just can't afford it.
No. You got to stay. The train has to stay on the track, okay? As much as I wanted to go east-west instead of north-south, for this to ever really be a mass transit city, it's going to revolve around, I think, trains. And I believe that you gotta stay with it. Now, I understand that you need the bus routes because right now that's what people are actually using. But you can't just take that money away and you can't turn your back on it. If we're ever going to get to where we ultimately want to go, it's going to be with some type of light rail.
And I've said this before, and I'm going to say this again. We could never pay for enough tracks in the ground to make this a city that relies upon public transit. And so what we're doing instead is we're taking money away from the services that working class people depend upon, and we're giving it to people who want to use it for things like going to Busch Stadium. It's so short-sighted. I mean, we find people can't even connect with jobs because the buses don't come frequently enough. You know, one of these bus cuts, this is on the number 70 that goes down Grand, and now in evenings and weekends, instead of like the nice 15-minute service that you'd think you could get on a main hub, they're marking it down to half an hour. I think sometimes it might even be an hour between buses. That's crazy for somebody who needs to get to work.
Oh, I agree. And with electric vehicles coming in, it'll be even sound ecologically. You know, maybe smaller buses, but I would say more of them, not fewer, in the idea of the millions, Alvin, that it'll cost for a new north-south route.
I think Alvin's right, in my opinion, and I think that the two aren't mutually exclusive. And I know people don't like to hear it, but generally speaking, there are a lot of federal dollars that are earmarked for light rail around the country, and I don't agree that I think light rail can get better, and it doesn't have to be at the expense of the bus service. So I'm not a technician on this, but I don't think it's an either-or proposition.
Look at the wonders that light rail did for City of St. Louis and
you know what?
East St. Louis.
Light rail is a good thing.
St. Charles County sure could use it.
But why
they could actually, and it would make.
Oh, really?
Yes, they could.
They're growing population and jobs like nobody's business.
And let me tell you
losing
something.
population.
Folks in St. Charles County wanting to get to the sporting events and wanting to get to the city, wanting to get to the airport would definitely benefit. And the fact is, the only reason that what we did with light rail is we rewarded St. Charles County for narrowly defeating it, and we subsidized highways.
Do you take light rail to the airport?
What? I can't because of the way the system's set up.
Yes,
I do
can.
take it to sporting
you sure
events.
Can.
Yeah, it's not a very.
You can. You can take it to Bolivar.
I get it.
Switch trains.
It's not.
But you don't.
Convenient.
Who's going to take it to the airport?
I take it if I'm going to a Cardinal game, which I'm probably not going to be welcome to do. So
instead of it being at Laclede Station Road, is the closest one to us in Kirkwood. If it wasn't there, if it ran up and down 40,
they cut your Kirkwood route. They cut your Kirkwood bus. The Webster Kirkwood bus got cut this week.
And there's probably like 8 of them a day.
They're not mutually exclusive.
If not,
unrelated.
Finally, you're now an author of a column on Substack, Ray Hartmann, and tomorrow I think you release a column taking a look at the Cardinals, who it's kind of interesting. Friday night is Pride Night, and then it's Christian Day on Saturday.
Right.
It's not mutually exclusive, but it's interesting.
Well, no, and there's probably as big a percentage of the LGBTQ community is Christian as the rest of the Cardinal fans, and so they're not. I don't buy the
90 seconds.
juxtaposition. The column's about the fact that the organization that's sponsoring Saturday supports some real anti-LGBTQ causes. But I think the more interesting issue is I just think the Cardinals are an institution that bring us together. And at a time where we're all torn apart, I don't think it's a good idea. I know it's been going on for a long time to have any religion promoted by the Cardinals. They can do it. I'm not, but I as somebody, I wouldn't want Jewish night. Did I say offended? Okay. I'm not saying offended.
Well, you're against it.
I mean, I don't think it's a good idea because it's what, they wouldn't have Muslim night.
I do too think it's fine. Christian night has been going on. It's funny. I'm a Christian. I have no interest in going on Christian night. But the only problem I have, I'm all for Christian night as long as we don't have to play the Tigers. Get it?
Get it?
Wrong.
And I don't think. As far as if it were Muslim, they won't have Muslim night, even though we have all this. Well, I don't think they should. I don't think we need to. It's a place that we.
Religion isn't divisive unless you make it divisive.
Which is why not to single out a religion at the expense of others. How about atheist night?
Salute people.
No, I just don't think it's necessary.
Okay,
that's all.
We'll follow your column, Ray Hartmann's St. Louis Insider. Hey, let's find out what folks had to say about last week's program. St. Alphonsus Rock Church is not impacted by all things new. St. Rock, further west in the city, is closing, but the Rock Church on Grand is not impacted. Thank you, Susan Martin. Gary Cope of Collinsville wrote, "You spend way too much time this week talking over each other. It's hard to follow the arguments when everyone is talking at once." Thank you, Mr. Cope. Tim King wrote, "Charlie Brennan's concern about the location of cigarettes and strip clubs makes me want to party with him at that Donny Bash." Thank you, Mr. King in Fenton. You can always write us, care of 9 PBS, 3655 Olive Street. Use the zip code 63108. Love those emails, Donnybrook at 9pbs.org, and those tweets, hashtag DonnybrookSTL. Call the 9 line at 314-512-9094 and listen to us on your favorite podcast source. Spotify, Apple, Google Play, and TuneIn. Hey, Mallory Ingalls, our floor director, is leaving after many years of service. She's moving out of town. We want to thank Mallory for the great help she's given us here at Donnybrook, and we're going to miss you, but good luck, Mallory. Hey, folks, you can join us next week for Donny Bash. Here are some details just around the corner.
Board of the Betsy and Thomas Patterson Foundation and the members of 9 PBS.
All right, we want you to be at Donny Bash next Thursday, June 15th. A perfect Father's Day gift, or if you really just love being at Donny Bash, Don't miss this one Donnie Bash for 2023. There are a couple of ways that you can be in the audience next Thursday, and here they are. For a one-time contribution of $75, you get your choice. You can have one ticket to Donnie Bash or your choice of the 9 PBS mug. But here's the best deal of all, and that is when you become a sustaining member right now at $12 a month, ongoing contributions, you receive not one ticket, but 2 tickets to next Thursday's Donnie Bash, and you'll also receive the 9 PBS mug. What a great deal. And you know, Donnie Bash, if you have never been to Donnie Bash, the folks from Donnybrook will tell you you don't know what you're missing. Doors open at the Sheldon at 5:30. Parking is an absolute dream there. The reception starts right then at 5:30. There will also be a live taping. You'll be there in the audience at the Sheldon, and there's not a bad seat in the house. Plus, you'll be sitting there right there and looking at the set for Donnybrook. They literally transport everything over. And then after the live taping, you'll be able to answer some questions and also enjoy another reception. And the folks from Donnybrook really enjoy meeting you. They say if you've been before, come on back, don't be shy. It's a great way not only to spend next Thursday, and you know what? Dad will never know that you bought his Father's Day gift at the very last minute. But we want you to be there not only to enjoy Donnie Bash, but also to support your favorite programs here on 9 PBS. Won't you join us right now? And speaking of joining, let's go over and talk to the fellas from Donnybrook. They're there with my good friend, Yale Hollander.
Time is winding down. Get those Donnie Bash tickets. 1 week from tonight, it'll almost be over. So you've got to get on that phone and become a sustaining member of 9 PBS. Get those tickets. Get this great mug. Come to Donnie Bash. We're a week out. I want to hear from you all. What do you think the top story will be when we all convene next week for Donnie Bash?
Well, if you give me next week's newspaper, I'll tell you.
I was going to say the same thing. I said, like, it's something that we have no idea of what's going to happen between now and next week.
Yeah, like Wesley Bell.
Right. It's not going to be a follow-up. It's going to be something new. And I don't want to go all home shopping network here, but seriously, Sheldon's a big place, and we are almost out of seats. I'm not making this up. You want to come, you need to dial that number. I mean, I'm being serious. We're
well, and it is fun. I mean, I think at the end of the night, people think, I'm glad I roused myself and went to this.
I agree, and again, we're selfish about it because it's fun for us as much as it is for the audience. And you know, if you happen to see me, come prepared with like maybe an ad-lib line or two I can use. I can always use that.
Oh yeah.
But you know, I actually have gotten ideas from talking to people. Of course, it's a low bar for me to get a better idea than I have now. But
can I say something also?
Knock yourself out.
Well, you know, June is the month we have the Donnie Bash now. It used to be October. And I've said this before, I've bored you already, but I like driving in the sunlight. I don't like driving in the dark like October. And I think that's one of the advantages. This is one of the longest weeks of the year.
That's right.
And you can drive home with sunlight. There's an advantage to that. Quit looking at me like I'm a...
No. It just depends on what direction that cloud from Canada goes. None of us may be driving in the sunlight.
It's the 15th of June. If you have a great time.
Yeah, it's not the 22nd like this idiot said.
If you have a really great time, you could drive home on the longest day of the year, the 21st.
Yeah, that's right.
It would be 6 days, but that would be a really good time. No, but we do have you can enjoy adult beverages before and after the show.
That's right.
And let's not leave out the fact that the Sheldon, we cannot say this enough, you cannot take it for granted what a cool, historic facility it is with the best acoustics ever. And not many cities have, and it's just one of many treasures that St. Louis has, but I feel very honored to be on the stage there when I think of the people that were there before us.
Certain things that people ought to do, like go to the Hill and have dinner. Or lunch, and then you go to the Missouri Baking Company and get pastries, or go to Crown Candy, or go to Donnie Bash. I mean, it's just, one of those things.
Or do all of them.
Well, I do all of them.
Over an 8-hour period. Right. It's a good time. Good time is had by all. You'll have fun. You'll have a blast. I guarantee it. You'll have a blast.
Absolutely. It is, the Sheldon, again, is a civic treasure. I would venture to say Donnybrook is also a civic treasure. I didn't say you all were civic treasures.
All right, okay.
I would be willing to make that argument, but I'm not going to sit here and debate you guys about it.
No, I don't know.
What do you say? But longevity does have its virtue. We've been around longer than most everything on TV, other than the news, right?
And we were talking during the break about the recently updated furnishings in here. I mean, you outlasted one set of furniture, so.
You know, we also outlasted ER, Friends, Seinfeld. What are the other shows on Thursday night?
We wiped them all out. Try to find any of them in first round.
Speaking of wiping out, we're about to get wiped out.
Let's hope so.
So back to the studio.
Get the hook.
Marianne.
Now, if you've been to a Donny Bash before, you're going to know what I'm talking about. And that is how much the folks from Donnybrook love playing to the audience. So if you have never been to a Donny Bash before, what are you waiting for? You don't have much time now. You got to call us or go online at 9pbs.org. That's NINEPBS.org. The phone number is 800-568-9099. Now, if you make a contribution of $75 to 9PBS, you get your choice, either a ticket to Donny Bash or a 9PBS mug. Here is the deal, though. At $12 a month as a sustaining member of 9PBS, you get not one but 2 tickets, and you also get the 9PBS mug. What a deal. You'll also have access to 9 Passport. It's wonderful. And your membership dollars every month, $12 a month, will be going to make sure that your favorite programs stay on the air. We have some wonderful local programs as well, whether it's Living St. Louis, which I really think is a very unique, successful, and wonderful program produced here in St. Louis. And you also can support great performances and the history shows that we bring you. All of those are because you support 9PBS. Call us or go online now.